Start walking toward their objective. The boy says he'll charge more if there's an emergency, but if the plan goes well, that amount will suffice. The boy asks if the girl has enough stamina to run now, and she promptly nods, saying yes. They immediately start a quick run into the forest to reach their goal. The young woman, who's a bit behind and completely out of breath, analyzes you running effortlessly ahead of her, and thinks that the boy is incredibly fast. As our protagonist runs, he sighs, thinking he accepted the offer too quickly, and should have asked for more money since the girl seemed wealthy. Turning the run, Jin shouts, asking if she can ask the boy a specific question. With a bored expression, he allows her to ask, and then she inquires if he really learned everything on his own. Surprising the girl, he responds that not everything, but the vast majority was learned through training alone. As they continued on their path, Juriang began to explain his past, mentioning that when he was a child. However, before he could finish his sentence, the boy sensed danger. Right in front of them, two strange alien-like creatures were hunting their prey. The name of these beasts is Gariraptor, a species native to what was once Boramadan. Upon seeing this, you quickly tell Jin to prepare for a fight. She, who was running alongside him, quickly halts, draws her bow, and gets ready to attack the beasts. To her surprise, with incredible speed, Juriang doesn't even wait for Jin and charges directly at the creatures. It's explained that Juriang never received any official training as an adventurer, and the skills he possesses now were acquired by risking his life. But there's one exception: when he was younger, he witnessed his father's incredible movements. This allowed him to learn 3 specific techniques as he approaches the monster with his bed. Juriang uses one of those techniques against the Gariraptor. The first of these techniques is called the needle, where he uses all the speed and weight to strike a vital point of his opponent. At this moment, the boy executes the same move. This is a simple yet refined technique that he gained through experience, senses, and above all, his talent. It's a technique that even top-ranked adventurers have not mastered, but Juriang has perfected it, defeating the first of the monsters with just that one strike. Since the other monster was only a 2-star, it was easily defeated by Jin, who only sustained a few scratches. After putting her bow away, Sarah comments that something fell off since Gariraptors usually travel in groups of at least 5 creatures. Hearing this, Juriang informs her that it means she wasn't the only one affected by the scent of the royal jelly. It's likely that all sorts of monsters are nearby, and at this point, they've already reached the outskirts of the city where the shopping mall is located. Noticing that the girl didn't seem to be in the best condition, you suggest they take a quick break before continuing. Returning to the previous conversation, a girl asks if he had any personal training when he was younger. Once again, you respond that he didn't, and he only watched someone train and managed to mimic that person's movements. However, because he was trying to be stealthy and not be noticed by this person, he only learned a few specific moves. Since he doesn't get asked this question often, he wonders why the girl is so curious about it. Instead of answering, Jin becomes extremely frustrated, stating that after all this, she really doesn't like him. That's certainly the young woman throws something at Juriang, who quickly catches it, not understanding what it is. Upon examining it, he realizes it's a stamina vial, which is extremely expensive. Seeing this, Hu asks if she's really going to give it to him for free. Jin urges the boy to drink the liquid because he probably wasn't in his original condition due to exhaustion. However, the boy points out that Jin just said she didn't like him but then gave him a gift, so she wasn't keeping her word. But to the girl's surprise, the boy begins to pocket the vial and Serum asks why he's doing that. The girl responds that he won't drink it because you could sell it later, leaving Serum even more furious. She starts arguing with Juriang, saying that it's worth a lot and that he should just take it. Still, the boy explains that he knows the value of the item and that if he sold it on the black market, he would get a good amount of money. The girl mentally curses the boy, thinking he's strange and extremely weird, but he's all she has. Changing his mind, Juriang says that since she doesn't need to rest after drinking the vial, they should continue their adventure. And so they do. Another thing that the girl is still a bit distracted, reflecting on everything. The boy thinks that rich kids are extremely strange and don't care much about money. Afterward, the two approach the mall and Juriang comments that Jin already knew this, but they should go over the plan one more time to be sure. Yu states that their goal isn't to hunt any monsters but to grab what they need and leave immediately. He adds that no matter how many monsters are inside, she should always follow his instructions and keep her composure despite everything. Finally, Loriang says he's sure the girl has learned a lot, but his specialty is survival and she just needs to trust him. However, for some reason, Jin is acting strangely unable to identify the cause of the weird sensation she's feeling. Last semester, Jin was a stranger at the Warrior Academy, unrecognized by others and often excluded. However, this was the first time she ventured into danger with a companion who didn't belittle her, and as Yoriang stands up, he declares that they should get moving. The girl remains a bit apprehensive, knowing she's about to face imminent danger. The two of them are now standing in front of an old shopping mall, which is completely overrun by vegetation. Inside, everything is dark and ruined, with the forest and trees having completely taken over the place. But something happens that frightens not only Jin, but also Yoriang, putting both of them on high alert. An overwhelming pressure begins to envelop the two of them, and Jin asks what it is, but even Yoriang doesn't know as he has never encountered anything like in his life. Looking ahead, they both notice several mutilated monster corpses, and whoever did that was incredibly powerful. Humans are beings capable of being braver than they imagine, and if they are properly motivated, they can withstand any situation. The only obstacle to this, or events that fall outside the scope of the initial plan. Those monsters are not from this area, they are dangerous, even for professional explorers, seeing the carnage they can't even imagine what could be there. The boy tells her not to lose focus. There's something very dangerous there, and it's not as if she didn't know that. She was just surprised because the scene is scarier than she imagined, but so far nothing has changed. As soon as he finished speaking, she saw something in the shadows, who was a silhouette moving. On seeing this, the boy drew his spear. The creature stood up, it was a slasher lip with a danger level between 2 and 3 stars. Without wasting time, he charged towards the creature. Its mouth started to open, revealing something. It was a huge tongue, now heading towards the boy. Quickly, he managed to defend himself from the attack using his staff. However, he felt that something was different. The creature had managed to grab his weapon with its tongue, taking advantage of the contact between them. It retracted its limb. With the force exerted, he ended up being pulled along with the staff. Before getting closer to the creature, he'd let go of it. If he hadn't done that, he would have been in its jaws. From above, safely, he looked at the monster again. Leaving his position, he prepared to land a kick. The attack was accurate, he succeeded. From a distance, the girl watched attentively, waiting for the right time to strike. Calmly, he picked up the staff from the ground. That was terrifying for her, and she hadn't expected that creature to still be alive when they arrived, but its survival ability is high. But the boy said that it wasn't just that. He kept it alive longer on purpose, in case anyone arrives there, and that will serve as a warning, as that creature tends to scream to call his allies whenever it feels its life is in danger. The girl didn't understand and wanted to know who he wanted to warn with the alarm. It was for himself, because he couldn't just sit around waiting. Another figure appeared, saying he had a lot to clean up, and that after that he ended up feeling a bit exhausted. The girl knew this was another explorer. The boy was very apprehensive, and she wanted to know if they knew each other. But one who had arrived said that this wasn't very normal. These two were too new to be smugglers. Looking more closely at them, he saw a crest on the girl's clothing. On the blink of an eye, he had disappeared. Now he was on the ground in front of them, asking if they were from the warrior school. Answering the question that the girl said they were. If that's the case, he didn't even know what kind of team they were, but it's a pity because they were going to end up dying in that place. Hearing this, the girl was terrified. The boy asked why she was paying attention to those words. That person wasn't a normal explorer, as she should have guessed. He was a villain who had come to kill him and steal the royal jelly. Then he said he must not have contact with his commissioner and shouldn't touch his things without authorization. He said he only had to deal the consequences of his actions if caught. And that so far, he'd been very lucky. He had heard that his companion was smuggling a highly valuable item. The plan was to ambush him along the way, but things ended up happening differently. He failed the task of having to exterminate them.